Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Morning.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Sun shining gloriously down here in Shoreham.
I wouldn't call it glorious, but it is nice here. There's plenty of clouds. One of them's got a little threatening black undertone to it, but it is the sun is shining and it is lovely. There are all these warnings in the tabloid press, which of course I don't read, but are circulated on Facebook, saying we're going to have a heat wave. Every time I see that, I go to the BBC weather app and it says 22 to 24 degrees, which is a beautiful English summer's day. But I don't know where all these warnings are coming from, because we're not getting 30-degree temperatures, which frankly we don't really need or want in England, do we?
No, I suppose not when you're going about your business.
No. And 22 to 24, a glorious English summer's day, is beautiful.
Yes, very nice. Very nice. So, what's your week been up to?
You go first, because mine's quite dull.
Okay, well, I've been having a long, hard think about my life and what I want going forward. And that in itself is a step in the right direction, because I hadn't really had any thoughts like that at all for a long time. And I think I've decided that I don't really want to go, because before Steve died, I was going for this 7-figure business and an exit with clicks and leads. And I don't really think I want that anymore. In fact, I've set myself some much more what looks like incredibly achievable targets, which would make for an extremely nice lifestyle, which is 10 clicks and leads clients of the right kind, who have got the right kind of business to benefit from traffic, who can convert that traffic into leads, and who love me for bringing them the right kind of leads. I've got one client at the moment. Oh my God, it's hilarious. They're in a, what's the word I suppose you'd call it? A very niche market in the personal development space. And they have, I'm getting them clicks for 6p a click, which is just ridiculously cheap. I mean, they're in a passion market, and then they're running a quiz, and people only have to put their names and emails in to get the results of the quiz. So they've got, lots of people filling in the quiz, and then they're getting the people, I think about a quarter of the people are filling their names and emails in. They're getting leads for 17p. And then those leads are then being sent an email, which they have to see, they have to open, they have to read, and then they have to click. And 25% of the people who get that email are doing that, and they're going to an offer page and they're getting sales of a $7 product. And I mean, I'm looking at the numbers and I just can't quite believe it. Sarah, I had to say to Sarah at the weekend, is that right? Because we were doing the report and it was like 2,500 visitors to the website, and they're only spending £30 a day. And I was just astonished. And that is absolutely the kind of client I want, because I can effortlessly bring them brilliant traffic that converts, and they are effortlessly.
And that's because of their niche, is it? You said at the beginning. Yeah. And how did that client find you?
I think it was a referral, or they might have just heard about me in one of the groups that were in, High Performing Women. So I must ask. Yeah. Okay. But more clients like that, please. Either people that are aiming at a passion market that it's like angel healing, but it's not angel healing. It's that similar kind of thing. And 10 of those would be lovely. And then I've decided to reopen my membership site, which I want to talk about in the next section. But to 200 members would be nice. So nice low numbers that would bring me a really nice lifestyle, which I can then plan the rest of my life around. And it'll be gorgeous. Okay. Thank you very much.
Very good. Okay, so my buyer has gone away on 3 weeks holiday without us achieving anything.
Oh, no.
It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. Don't panic. It's okay. I'm not panicking. You know the principles of shut up and sell?
Yes.
Well, on Friday night, she didn't get the valuation that she wanted from the bridging finance company. And my flat that sold for 400,000 in April was downvalued because of Brexit to 370,000. So she got 92.5% instead of 100%. And she couldn't get over that. But she made the mistake of saying to me on the phone call, I really, 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 really want your flat. And I said, yes, I know you do. And if you do, you'll find a way over the weekend. You've got 92.5%. Don't get hung up on the fact that you haven't got what you wanted. You know how easy that is to do in life, to get hung up on, well, I wanted that and I haven't got that, so I can't see how brilliant the thing is that I've got.
Yes.
So I tried to get her to see that 92.5% was great. And she'd already told me that her mother could find her 40,000, which is what she was short, in a previous visit. So I knew she wanted it and I knew she had the funds to buy it. But she didn't call me back over the weekend. And the principles of shut up and sell are, the first person that caves and fills the silence loses the deal.
Yeah.
But by Sunday night, when I knew she was going away on Monday morning, I hadn't heard from her, I cracked and phoned her. And I said, what's going on? And she said, oh, don't worry, Judy, it's absolutely fine. You know, my mum's agreed to lend me the money and, you know, I've got the bridging finance and I'm going on 3 weeks holiday, but we can exchange and complete the day I get back. So we need 4 things while she's gone, and we're doing it in email to make sure that those 4 things are in place the day she gets back, and then we can do it quite quickly. So I'm not worried. I'm carrying on with my plans as normal. I've got 3 more weeks in London than I expected, and that's it. I've sold the chair I'm sitting on now on eBay for more money than the dealer offered it to me, so I'm quite excited about that. And on Friday, I will have to begin 2 things, because my nephew is coming with a van to take the majority of the remainder of my furniture, which means that I will begin sleeping on the sofa bed. I will begin working on a folding table, on a garden chair. So I'm going to be camping for a couple of weeks, but I will also have to begin packing. I haven't done any packing yet. All I've done is get rid of stuff. I'll have to begin packing because he wants my chest of drawers and my bedside table that's actually got stuff in. So I'm 2 days away from packing and camping.
I was astonished. I have slept on your sofa bed. It was extraordinarily comfortable. So
it's very comfortable. I've slept on it too, a lot, and I'm not bothered about sleeping on it for 2 weeks at all because I know how comfortable it is. And I'll be in the living room with the French windows, and I always quite like, funnily enough, I'm one of those weird people that likes a lot of light when I'm sleeping.
Yeah. I thought she could exchange while she was away. I thought her lawyer had...
Well, technically she could, but when she went to see her lawyer on Friday, in a classic, in one of those, she blew it, frankly, because you'll probably remember from our old property days that if you want to get the valuation you want to get, you've got to attend the valuation yourself as the buyer.
Yeah.
And she didn't do that because it was the same day as her little boy had to go for his interview at his new school.
Oh, right.
And so that was tricky, but there could have been some reorganisation, I think. And on Friday, I knew it was her last business day, and I knew she was going to go and see her solicitor. And it's my day off, and I had nothing to do all day except one 90-minute business call from 4 o'clock till 5:30. And when I hadn't heard from her about 4 o'clock, I thought, oh, well, you know, that's a shame. We've lost a business day, and it's her last one before she goes away. During that hour and a half, she emailed me about 16 times saying, I need to speak to you urgently. And of course, I couldn't speak to her because I was with my clients. Yeah. And she maintained that her solicitor hadn't had the contract from mine, which actually wasn't true. The gazumper, the lady, the girl, had given me her solicitor's address as one of those info at.
Oh, right.
And my solicitor had emailed it to that email address on Wednesday before the Friday, so they had it on the Wednesday. I don't think they'd looked in the right place for it, to be honest. Yeah. And so, but this is how things fall through the cracks. She didn't come to the valuation. She didn't give me the most accurate email address she could have done. These are how you mismanage your affairs and lose time. As it happens, I'm quite pragmatic about all of this. If it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. If it's not supposed to happen, it won't happen, you know? So maybe, who knows what will happen in the 3 weeks while she's away. But if you want something, grab it.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? And you've got to stay, have you, until she comes back?
I think I have to stay until at least exchange of contracts, because otherwise I could be in another country and she'd change her mind.
Yeah.
In which case it would be hard to sell it remotely.
Yeah, I suppose it would. Yes, much harder. And you certainly will be incentivised to stay quick with no furniture, won't you?
Well, I'm not worried about the lack of furniture, to be honest. I mean, you know, I'm down to my very few possessions, and the fact that I've got to start packing. I've worked on the folding chair is no different than that. The folding desk is no different than the one I work on when I'm down the garden shed. So it isn't that much of a hardship for 2 or 3 weeks in the summer. I wouldn't want to live here like that forever. But I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it as part of the, closing process, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's fueled your fire this week then?
Well, I had a bit of an interesting thought on the topic of motivation.
Oh, okay.
I always believe I can't and I shouldn't, and it's not my job to motivate my clients. But I've been studying French with this app called Duolingo, and I've discovered that they have cracked the secrets of motivation. And it's a free app. I don't know if you've ever done Headspace, the meditation. I tried it once. Yeah. Well, you see, there's a good example. I tried it once, and I did the 10 days, and I liked it, but I didn't stick with it. And so here's another thing, which is free. And I've stuck with it since the 4th of June, and we're on the 13th of July today. And I've investigated why it is motivating. They reward you. There's an element of competition. You see your fluency increasing. You get better at it. It's fun to do. You see how far you've got to go to be the next level up.
That's gamification in action.
Yeah, it keeps telling you how much better you're getting. It compares you to other people. Headspace was a should. I should meditate. Duolingo is a want. I'm going to live in France. And this has made me think quite a lot about how the principles in Duolingo could be applied to my business. And I'm going to try and write my newsletter on it this week. I just think there are very clever and subtle ways that they've built into this. I tell you what it is. It's when I used to swim 60 lengths every day and go to dance class every week. I got good at swimming and dancing. And when you get good at it, you want to do more of it. And when you go to the gym, actually it gets harder. So I never liked the gym. I didn't find it motivating. I knew I was getting fitter, but I didn't feel it ever got any easier. And this, you feel like you're getting more proficient. Here's a good example. When I look at places to stay in St. Martin on the French side, the testimonials from people who've stayed in them before are in French. And up until I started this a month ago, I would skim them and know roughly what they were saying. Now I can read them.
Oh my God.
And where this has a parallel to my business is I turn up every day and do about half an hour of this. And that's it. What I realized was if you turn up every day and do a little bit, however little you can do, and it doesn't really matter, you are going to get better at something. It's so obvious, but it's actually hard, isn't it, how many times have we started a diet or a new fitness regime or Headspace or, made a New Year's resolution, and we lose the motivation. We can't hang on in there. It's something that Duolingo have got sorted out that I need to investigate a bit more, but they've cracked it. And that was even before I saw that video yesterday afternoon by the man that invented it, who was also the man that invented capture. And the thing where you fill out,
yes,
and he was talking on TED in 2011 about having invented Duolingo, and actually because I was investigating what's the business model, when's he going to ask me for some money and how much? Well, the answer is never, because he's using all of us who are studying foreign languages to translate the web.
I would say some more about that. How is that happening?
As we type in sentences in French or German or something, we're translating the web. You need to watch the video. I put it in the podcast group. Yeah. He's an absolute genius. I don't watch too many videos, as you know, but it was quite gripping. So first of all, he explained the business model behind capture and what we were doing when we put that in and how he improved that. And then he just extrapolated it to, I want to translate the entire web, but there are not enough people who are bilingual. There's not enough money to pay for it. How can we do that? And they basically, all of us learning languages at different levels are translating the web for him.
I'm going to have to watch it to understand, because I'm still not grasping it. But
well, you'll see. He explains it very well.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So this point is about motivation, which is something that before I never thought I could do for my clients. I don't even really think I should. I don't think it's my job. I think they've got to find the motivation. But if I can get them to understand that all you've got to do is keep turning up every day and doing a little bit, you cannot fail.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that, because it's people don't take any action because the thought of all the little actions they've got to do is so enormous. that they just see the big picture rather than it's like eating one bite at a time, isn't it?
They get totally overwhelmed. There's in this other group I'm working with, the Victoria's Mall group. They turn up and they see, oh my God, they see like a year's learning in front of them. It's like, oh my God. It's like, no, hang on, just do one day at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time. And when I see my clients in Small Business Big Magic, for instance, who are with me in year 2 or 3 and they're turning up every week and doing a little bit, guess what? They're getting really good at it, because actually business isn't hard. What's hard is all the should, could, all the personal development stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really come home to me as I've been, which is what's fueled my fire this week, because what I've been doing is pulling together all my trainings that I've ever created online. And thank God for YouTube, because it's all there, sitting waiting for me to come back to it. I mean, stuff I vaguely remember, like my Spartan marketing course, which was a 10-module course on how to market your business if you're not online, and how to bring online elements to that. And it was all just sitting there waiting for me to grab the embed code. I don't even have to log into my account to grab the embed code. And I've been pulling it all together and putting it all into logical places. And I thought to myself, all this stuff I've created over the years, all this how-to, all these tactics, all this tuition, and it hasn't made a blind bit of difference to some of my clients. Some of my clients have taken it and run with it and done marvellous things with it, and some of them just haven't done anything. And I was wondering about that, and I was thinking, it's not about the training, it's not about the videos, it's not about the how-to, it's all about what goes on in their heads.
And do you know why that's so good for me? Because that's how I can help them, and that's what fascinates me about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't do any training, do you? You help them to find the right training for them, but you don't create trainings.
No, I don't create trainings, because actually, in the main, they don't need it. Yes, you've got to go out and find out how to do stuff you don't know how to do, or pay for somebody else to do it for you. But I'm addressing the gazillion reasons why they might not do that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I saw one of my clients say this week. Somebody said, "Have you looked at such and such?" which was a good solution to something. And she went, yeah, I looked at it, but I didn't choose it because it costs money. And I thought, oh, for goodness sake, that is such the attitude that I've got to address with that woman, because that's what's holding her back.
Yeah, and that really was what held a lot of my clients back in the olden days. And because, when I used to do coaching on internet marketing, because, they were always searching for the free solution, and they'd take a month to try and find a free solution when there was something that cost $17 a month.
Yes.
Something.
Those $17 do add up. That's the only thing I would say. So I think one's got to be discerning about what one does choose to pay for. And if you go back to the favoured rant about Duolingo, which is free, there are many wonderful things out there for free. Somebody was asking me for a solution to something yesterday. I said, I don't know, but I bet there's a fantastic one. Google is your friend. Somebody's invented the answer to everything, haven't they? Pretty well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you an example of that in Who or What's Impressed. But it's totally true. There is a free solution for everything, but it's not free, because you have to learn how to use it. And often the things that are, and exactly what I'm going to talk about in Who or What's Impressed, the things that cost money save you time. So It's all about time or money, isn't it? And time is money.
Yes. Well, quite. Exactly right. Time is money. Yes. Now, explain to me again, the thing about fueling your fire was about all the content you've created, you're putting into your membership site, was it?
Yeah, because, I've part of this whole simplifying my life thing and just having some, really working out what I need to live a fantastic life, and what I need for that. And part of it is this whole coming back to this whole membership idea. And I've got mentors who have membership sites, and to be honest, mine never really took off. I mean, I think I got to about 70 members at one point, which was lovely, but I never really concentrated on it. It was always like a sideline, if you like, just to help the people who couldn't afford to work with me one-to-one. But I'm really enthused about it again now, and it has been quite an eye-opener seeing how much tuition and training I've created over the years, and putting it all into one place so that people can just access it for an incredibly affordable monthly fee. But I know that the thing that they will join for is the training, but the thing that they will stay for is the community and the someone to talk to element, exactly same as in your business. So what I've got to do now is think about how I can deliver that someone to talk to element without being tired as I used to 1 o'clock on a Wednesday every week, But I used to do calls. I used to do one on a Wednesday lunchtime and one on a Wednesday evening, and that was very tiring. So I've got to just work out how I can do it and deliver the value of that without actually being tied to a particular time slot. But I think it can be done.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's all just sitting there in YouTube and Vimeo and various other places, waiting for me to come and pull it all together and put it all in there, and it was all evergreen.
I think that's why I like to put stuff on a blog or in a newsletter, because actually it's already saved somewhere for you later.
Yes, exactly. And I'm very keen on leveraging content. I really am, and I've started to do Facebook Live. I've set myself a 30-day challenge of doing it every day for 30 days. God help me. I'll tell you something, it's so distracting though. You think I blew dry my hair this morning. Why doesn't it look like I did? You have to try and get over all those things.
I don't think I would know whether hair had been blow dried or not, so I wouldn't worry about it, Nicola.
I know, it's funny though, isn't it?
If you are bored by working for someone else, or tired of trading time for money, or a business owner who's ready to travel and have adventures, then Own It the Summit is for you. We interviewed 18 inspiring entrepreneurs enjoying unique lives. Now you can dip into those lives and decide which of the business models will work for you. Our interviews will show you how to design your dream life beyond the laptop and how to live and work in your favourite ways and places. Our intrepid 18 share the tools and techniques they use to work on the go and what living and working in total freedom really feels like. Find out more at ownitthesummit.com.
Client challenge of the week then.
Well, we're going to try and get something out of the point you made to me earlier in the week, which is the thing about refreshing stuff, whether it needs it or not.
Yes, and what prompted this is me looking at my stuff and thinking, why did I stop thinking it had any value? What happened there? And then also one of my clients said she had an evergreen funnel and she was running traffic to it, and they were opting in and they were watching the webinar and they were taking her up on a membership site offer. But she said something along the lines of, it's not working as well as it used to. I suppose everyone's a bit tired of it. I ought to refresh it or update it. And I thought, hang on a minute, the people that are seeing it are new people, so they can't be tired of it. And that's really the conversation that made me think, I need to dig all my stuff out again, because the people who see it will be new people. So I was just fascinated.
And was it not working as well as it used to, or was that an illusion?
Her perception.
Yes, quite.
Her perception was that it wasn't working as well as it used to, and she immediately thought it was the content of the webinar, whereas actually it was that people are getting more savvy about automated funnels, and they are a lot more resistant to taking the next step in the funnel. So you have to break it down into mini commitments, and she really hadn't grasped that she needed to do that. So she was sending them straight to a webinar registration page, whereas that's actually a really big commitment for people, because they have to say in their heads, am I going to be available at that time on that day and able to sit down for an hour and a half and watch this webinar? Was it you talking about webinars the other day? Someone was talking about
Yes, it was. Yeah.
How painful they are.
Yeah, they are. They're terrible.
Yeah. So what you need to do in that case, that's why the funnels are not working as well as they used to. It's nothing to do with the content of the webinar. It's about how people are so overladen with stuff to watch and listen to and engage with, that you need to break down the commitments into smaller commitments. And
do you think this client that you're describing, was she a creator type?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. I think it's that we're bored with our stuff, not that the client is bored.
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
We're trying to invent something new or change the way it looks or something. And actually, I think that's mostly unsettling for people.
Yeah, and you often say it takes two people 2 years to catch up. I mean, you've tweaked your offerings for a while now, have you?
Well, no, I've got them right. You see, they're right. Why would I?
No, exactly. And imagine how. Well, see, that's part of what's this feeling I had, which is, oh my God, we just bung it all on the membership site and drive everything I do, drive traffic to the membership site. And, some people at some point will join and I'll know my conversion figures. And I just felt this overwhelming sense of relief that I don't constantly have to keep trying new stuff, which creators are driven to do all the time.
Yeah, and I think we love to do it actually, but I don't think it's helpful for our clients because they're saving up to join offering A, and you decide to change it to offering B, and now they've got to go through that 2 years of warming themselves up and finding the money for that, and it may not suit them as well either. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how. I do have a lot of clients who are like this, and I try and talk them out of it. Stop changing. Stop being such a slippery eel. Stand still for a bit so the clients can actually catch you. And getting them to realise that I need to change it, I need to change it, I need to change it. It's a sort of form of junkie behaviour because we're addicted to this new creators and ideas people.
Yeah.
And that's no good. Actually, I'm quite resentful as a consumer when people change something that worked perfectly for me.
Yeah.
I don't want an updated version of something that I've got to learn new bits of if the old one worked absolutely perfect. Okay, if it's broken, great. But if it's not broken, don't bother to fix it for me. I like it as it is. And I'm not really an old fogey. I adapt to new and gadgets and stuff quite well. But I don't want change for the sake of change.
Are you playing Pokemon Go yet?
You what? No, I haven't played Pokemon Go yet. No, I haven't. I've got my chiropractor in Sheffield who says that people are coming in with Pokemon Go injuries already, which is quite funny.
Really? Oh, God,
Yes.
its business is improving already.
And she said she reminded her of the rash of Wii Fit injuries there were at the beginning as well.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I do like new things, both as a creator and as a human being, but I recognise that, well, you know the curve of early adopters and, the rump and then the tail enders. It doesn't suit anybody to have new. It unsettles them. They don't like it. They can't catch it. They can't buy.
I was thinking specifically of going to, the shop. Not that I did that on Sunday, which was a bit weird. I really found myself in surreal. I've had quite a surreal week, actually, one thing and another. But I went to Tesco's on Sunday because I had to go and pick up a prescription eardrop thing. And I was just astonished at the amount of people wandering around. And I was also astonished on the topic of how it had all changed, since the last time I went. And I know that does prompt sales, doesn't it? Changing things.
It does. It does in a supermarket. Yeah, they've got that very sophisticated. And actually, we do always look for something new in the supermarket. And my friend Nicola and her sister and her mother are always trying to find new sweets for the children. It's a game in their family. New sweets. Have you had these? You want to be the first to have something like that. But I don't think it's the same with business, is it? It's familiar is good. I think, and we know from the olden days how long it took people to decide to become clients.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. When I did that survey, it was anything from 10 days to 18. Was it 18 months? I can't remember. Yeah, I think the average was 18 months. So
I'm thinking of things like products that you use and love, and then they're suddenly not available anymore.
Oh yeah, that's deeply annoying, isn't it?
Oh, it's awful. Well, I don't want your new improved recipe necessarily. The old one suits me really well, and I don't think I'm a fogey. I think I know what I like. So please don't change it.
Yeah. So if you're thinking of, if you're putting together your product funnel or your marketing funnel, which is the same thing really, and you're thinking that something isn't working, try putting a smaller micro commitment in front. And I'll give you a good example. So I had a client who wanted to send traffic straight to an Ever webinar, which is part of the Webinar Jam studio. I said, if you're going to send them straight to that, I'm telling you now, you're going to get a 10% conversion. Whereas if you put an opt-in in front of it, you'll get something like a 50 to 60% conversion. So you'll get 5 or 6 times the leads you would get if you sent them straight to the webinar registration page. And she said, why is that then? I said, because it's just, their best webinar registration page just converts at about 10%, in my experience, in cold traffic. So, but she wouldn't have it. And I said, look, just put a blooming opt-in in front. No, wouldn't have it. So not converting as much of the traffic as she needed to for the whole rest of the funnel to make sense financially. So she kept talking about changing the webinar, and I said, no, just put anyway. So I've done it for myself now. I tried sending the traffic straight to it, 10% conversion, put an opt-in page in front of it, and I'm getting an 88% conversion of So I'm getting 50 to 60% of people are opting in.
Sorry, I'm confused. Have you done this for her behind her back, or have you done this for something
I'm
of
doing
yours?
it for myself, my own funnel.
Okay.
Because she wouldn't have it. So she was getting a 10% conversion. That wasn't enough to make the rest of the funnel work. I've put an opt-in in front of mine, which, doesn't make any sense because people put their name and email in the opt-in, and then they're being jumped to the page where they have to register for the webinar. Now, you'd think you'd get your 10% conversion there. No, I'm getting an 88% conversion there, instead of the 10% I was getting when I sent people straight to the page.
Because the steps are smaller.
No, because they've made a micro commitment, and they
That's what I mean. The steps are smaller.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a psychological thing that if you can get people to make a smaller commitment, they're much more likely to follow through on the second thing. It's in Robert Cialdini's book Influence. It's all about, they did a survey of people collecting for charity, and they found that if they went and asked people to put a sign in their window for the charity, and then they went back a week later and asked them for a donation, they were like 90% more likely to give a donation if they'd had the sign in the window.
And when you're asking people to opt in, what's the incentive to opt in?
To get to the point, basically they want the webinar, but sending them straight to the webinar page for some reason doesn't seem to work. It's something about they have to make a big commitment to a specific time and day to watch the webinar. Even if you offer a replay, so they can watch yesterday's webinar if you like. There's something about that commitment that's quite large. Whereas if you put a name and email opt-in in front of it and then jump them straight to the webinar registration.
And what reason do you give them for that they need to put their email address in?
We don't, because they're not going to find out how to get to the webinar otherwise.
So they already know that there's a webinar at the end of this?
Yes. And they want that webinar, but they seem to want it more once they've made the micro commitment to put their name and email in to get the information about the webinar, rather than if you just give them the information about the webinar. It's weird. It's completely weird, but it's about micro commitments.
I don't want to do either of those two things. I don't want to give anybody my email address, and I don't want to go to a webinar. That's why I'm struggling to get my head around it, because you haven't made it attractive enough for me yet. But so there's something in the way you've marketed the webinar that's attractive, that people want to go on. They already know they want to go on it. They don't want to go straight to it.
Yeah, because you're asking them to make too big a decision. Is Tuesday night at 7:00 good for you? Not really. But by asking them just give you their name and email, now they've made a micro commitment to themselves that they want that webinar information. So when they get to that webinar information, they're more likely to take action. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a web. It could be a workshop. It could be.
I get the whole thing about micro steps. I get that very much. Break it down, make it easy.
So if you've got a funnel that isn't working, rather than thinking it's you've got to change something, try putting a micro commitment in front of it, a smaller commitment in front of a bigger commitment. Even if you think it's not a very big commitment to turn up to a free webinar, it obviously is in lots of people's minds.
I agree, and I think that's because we all take for granted everything that we know and understand in our world, and the rest of the world isn't there yet.
Yeah. But so that's what I'm saying. So don't get hooked into this. Oh, it's not working. It's rubbish. I must change it. Try micro commitments first.
And let's have a think about what other things we wouldn't refresh too often.
Well, your website. Don't refresh. Don't change anything on your. See, this is another interesting one, but we're going to talk about it in project updates. Is all those times I changed the Money Gym website because I woke up in the morning and had a brain fart about something being better. I never tested it. I never said to myself, okay, well, let's just test it. It's that page is getting people to do that at this level. Let's see what my idea would make a difference. People just wake up and have brain farts and change their website. They've got no idea if they're changing it for the good or for the worse. And I know it's, some people find it really boring, this stuff, but I actually find it really fascinating, psychologically speaking. Why does one headline work over another? Why does one style of sales letter work over another? Why does one background picture on the opt-in page make a huge difference? I mean, I've seen as much as 60% difference on an opt-in page just by changing the background. It's incredible. I'm really passionate about it, as you can hear.
I can.
So don't refresh things or change things without having some way of testing, without recording the results. Because
yes, and also be aware that it's your boredom that's driving that, and your desire for the new, not necessarily your client or customers.
Yeah, and if you're a creator, as I am, creator star, I'm going to have just 2 businesses that don't need changing for a long time now. And my creative challenge is going to be, how can I drive more traffic to those businesses to the point, when they get to 10 clients or 200 members? I'm going to have to put all my creativity in the front end and think up creative ways to attract people to my businesses rather than changing the actual business again. That's going to be a challenge.
And then you see, I think that's good, because it doesn't matter where the creativity goes as long as the creativity is employed. And if the actual offering for the client remains the same, but there's still a chance for the creator to enjoy themselves with, new ideas for traffic, then the desire for the new, the junky newness is satisfied.
Yeah, absolutely, the junky newness. There's another point here, which is about people keep creating different things because they don't think the thing they first came up with is going to work. So before it's had a chance to work, people are thinking it's not working and they jump onto something else. And it's almost like this. I mean, I used to be like this, and I still am a little bit. It's because you've never been in business before, you don't know what's going to work. So you just keep trying lots of different things. I remember having a conversation with Rachel Turner about this when she was my business coach. And she said, why can't you just focus on one thing? I said, because what if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Well, it's less likely to work if you don't focus on it.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? And look at my screensaver. What is your main focus for today? I haven't put anything in it.
No, I can't actually see your screen today. Actually, you haven't showed it to me.
Well, let me show you. There you go.
Yeah.
Your main focus for today.
Every day, every week I look at that and I tut, because you haven't filled it in. I don't say that. Because, of course, that's the first thing I do every day is fill that in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, there you go. Facebook Live. That's my main focus for today.
Okay, and it will be for the next 31 days, you said. Which day are you on?
Day 2 today.
Ah, okay.
I did my first one yesterday, which was a bit of a waffle, but I promised myself I was going to do it, and I didn't really feel in the mood, but I did it anyway.
That's the whole point of a 31-day challenge, isn't it? You've got to do it even when you're not in the mood.
Yeah, that'll be that's part of what we're going to talk about later anyway.
Okay. So shall we skip on to words of the week?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we've done it. What's your word of the week then?
I'm going for excellence. I'm not going to explain why until we get to who or what's impressed.
Oh.
I'm a good enough merchant, but I've been impressed this week by exhibitions of excellence. I'll tell you more about that later.
Oh, great. Well, my word is laughter, because I have felt a lifting of spirits this week. And I've had some strange, we've talked about it on Facebook. I had a strange experience of the bereavement counselling group where the biscuits were so bad it was just astonishingly bad, and I haven't stopped laughing about it since. I went out with Kim last night and I was telling her about it. She said, what you want to do next week is just walk in, hurl a packet of Viennese twirls on the table and leave.
Exactly. Yeah, be the woman that brings the biscuits.
I was telling her about your suggestion that I should be abundant and take the new biscuits, but then we get onto that peculiarly British problem of how do you tell the person who's bringing the biscuits every week they're repulsive.
Well, I think everybody in the room knows that. It's the elephant in the room. I can't imagine why anybody else hasn't brought any biscuits. Every community changes all the time with new people. They want new people. Be the woman that brings the biscuits. I think it's fab.
I've got to say, Judith, I don't think I'm going back, but it was an experience that made me laugh a lot. And I was thinking,
every person after their first visit to something like that thinks they're not going to go back. Nicola, go back.
No, I'm on the list now for one-to-one counselling, and I think that will suit me much better. Although I won't get such a laugh out of it. And I was thinking about laughter when I was writing it down. I was thinking, human beings are astonishing, really, because we all laugh at the strangest things, and everyone's sense of humour is so different, and there's usually something to laugh about in the darkest circumstances. And of course, laughing with your work colleagues is actually one of the only things I can think about that I miss from working in a work environment. Because someone will say something and everyone starts laughing, and it's just the most marvellous thing. And of course, it releases all those lovely hormones.
And there is quite a lot of dark humour at work as well, isn't it? Like we're all in this prison together type of jokes.
Yes. Yeah. What's that called? The gallows humour. That's what it's called.
Yes, it is, and it's peculiarly British that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed that quite a lot. Because I went for dinner with my ex-husband and my son on Monday night, and I was reminded how funny Irving is. He says some really funny things sometimes. Oh, there we go. So that's laughter. That's my word of the week.
Good.
Project updates. You go first. I feel like I've talked a lot.
I haven't really got anything in this category except to say that we've both spent 2 Wednesday afternoons and have created 2 similar but different sales letters. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do next. I'm going to ask you to tell us about that in a minute. And I've committed this afternoon to review the copy on the upsell page, and I'm going to get you to talk to me about that in a minute too, because that seemed rather small content. Not that it should be another long sales letter, but maybe that we've done it so far in a bit of a throwaway way, I felt. But anyway, tell me what's next for our sales letters now that we haven't done the best we could. We've done the best we could for now, I think, haven't we?
Yeah, we've. The thing about the sales letters is we wanted to, because this is about testing, isn't it? Because we have no idea. We know that we've got a great product there, so it's our duty to sell it as well as we possibly can. Because without us selling it, nobody will enjoy it. So what I've done.
And we had a fantastic testimonial this week, didn't we, from Claire?
Yes,
Claire Maycock, saying she's got these sticky notes all over a mirror and she's going to give up a day job and everything as a result of it.
Yeah, we need to get that onto the sales.
We do. We need to get on both of the sales letters. Yeah.
Okay, so what we've done is we've got 2 sales pages. They've got a little bit of code on them and a Google Analytics code, and we've got a goal, and the goal is for someone to arrive at the thank you page after they purchase. And then I've got a little bit of code which is splitting the traffic. So at the moment, I'm just looking for it. Where is it? Own it to the summit. There it is. So I can see in Google Analytics, see that big lump there? That was when she had the summit. And I can see that if I go to the last week date, last 7 days, there we go. That makes it look, I can see that we're getting between sort of 7 and 10 visitors a day, which at current sales conversion rates, if we've got a decent sales letter, we should be converting between 1% and 3%. But we've got a higher ticket item than usual here. So
1 or 3% of 7 to 10 people, though, isn't very much, is it?
No, it isn't. It means that after 10 days, we'll have had 100 visitors to the site, and between 1 and 3 of them should have bought if it wasn't.
Oh, okay. So if we get one sale every 10 days.
Yeah, well, every 100 people.
Yeah.
So this is interesting for the people listening because, obviously we want to speed up that visitor rate. So there's things I can do, which are things like submit the site to Webmaster Tools, which in order to do that, I need to do a privacy policy and a terms of use because Google won't list you without those things.
Right.
Well, it will, but you won't get such high rankings. And then I've got a list of sites to submit the blog to. So I can put Claire's testimony in as a new blog post, and I'll only do that after I've put a list of sites for the blog to ping. All
right. Let me ask her for her permission first, if that's all right.
That'd be great. Yeah. And then once I've done, I can put the list of sites in, and then I can create a new blog post, and that will ping about 50 or 60 sites blog directories and let them know that we're there, which will also give us link backs to the site, which will help with SEO. And so, if we don't get one sale every 100 visitors, we know there's something. I don't think there's anything wrong with our sales page. I think they're pretty good. But what might be is that it's a bigger ticket item than people normally think. So it might take 300 sales or 500 sales. We don't know.
Okay. No, we don't. And should we republish all of the old blog posts then, post the work you're going to do that you've just described?
No, because they'll get indexed once we ping these other sites.
They will. Okay.
They'll send their little spiders over and crawl all over.
I certainly don't want to waste those because I work quite hard on them.
No, well, that's what's bringing us our 10 visitors a day, those blog posts.
Okay.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be getting any, would we? So that's a list of little jobs to do. And then once we see down here, you see, if you go to behaviour on the left-hand side in your Google Analytics, there's experiments. And we can see that the experiment is running and that one of the pages has had 21 visitors and one of the pages has had 15 visitors. So it's working. It's splitting off roughly 50% of the traffic. It'll vary.
Okay.
So we know everything's working. We just got to wait for our first sale then we'll have our conversion numbers. And that'll be a benchmark that we can then start testing things against.
Yeah.
Okay. The first test is your style of sales page versus my style of sales page, which is, they're just different. There's nothing better about either of them.
They're only about 50% different, aren't they? Because there's quite a lot of shared content across both of them.
Yeah, well, and that's what you've got to do with a test. You've got to really try and only alter one element. And the one element we've got two elements actually. We've got three. We've got a headline difference. We've got the fact that you've talked less about the people, the guests, but more about the benefits of the recordings. And I've talked more about the guests and the other way around. And so we've got three elements. We've got the actual body copy is different. The actual thing is different about, featuring the guests, and the headline is different. But once we find out which page performs best, and funnily enough, we should wait till 100 sales at least before we'll know for definite which pages work.
There's no rush about this. There's no rush about this, Nicola. That's the interesting thing. Because of its evergreenness, there's no rush.
I know, but it would be nicer, wouldn't it, to get some?
Oh yeah, it would be great. It would be great. But if it takes us 6 months to achieve 100 sales, the product hasn't gone off in that time.
No, it hasn't. No, but yeah. So what you can see if you're listening to this is that if you want to get data quicker, you have to increase your numbers of visitors to your page. Whereas Julie's saying she's not in any hurry, and I'm thinking I would quite like.
Well, no, I am in a hurry, but I'm not in a tearing hurry. If you know what I mean. I mean, I can think of something where it would be time sensitive. Our product isn't time sensitive, and that feels relaxing to me.
Yeah, I'm going to do a specific solo mail out to my list because I've only ever. I mentioned it in my newsletter last week, but it was only in passing, really, with a link, and it didn't bring a noticeable uplift in traffic. So I'm going to try and get us a bunch of traffic, which might help our data conversions.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Anyway, and while doing all the things to make it use Google.
And where will you send them? To yours or mine?
No, everyone goes to GoToWebinar. Sorry, what am I talking about? To ownitthesummit.com. And then this Google experiment splits the traffic from there.
Okay.
So it just automatically happens. So everyone just send people to ownitthesummit.com. That's all.
Okay, I might put that in my newsletter then, because we need traffic, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and we don't need traffic to a specific one of our pages. We need it to send it all just to the home page on the site.
I understand now. Okay. All right. So I'll get Claire's permission if we can use her testimonial. Then we've got something for the newsletters and something for a blog post and something to drive traffic with.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's that project, and I think that's pretty much all we've been working on, really, isn't it? Apart from your moving.
It's all I've been working on. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so who or what's impressed then?
Well, I'm going back to my excellence point. I don't like sport, as you know. I make an exception for Wimbledon. Sunday was an awesome day for British sport. Lewis Hamilton won the British Formula One Grand Prix, and Andy Murray won the male and singles at Wimbledon, and Heather Watson, who's also Britain, won the mixed doubles at Wimbledon. And what you look at when you look at winners like that is that they are in the pursuit of excellence, whereas I'm in the pursuit of good enough. And I'm not going to ever win anything where I'm the best in the world at anything. And I have no desire to be. But it is inspirational to see people who put in enough work, hard work and dedication, in the pursuit of excellence, so that they can be number one, so that they can be champions. And I think a good indication of that is that it's the second time Andy Murray won Wimbledon. The first time there was so much pressure on him to do it as the first British man in 77 years, although everybody's cross, all us feminists are cross that they overlook a woman who did it. But the point of this story is that he did go clubbing all night on Sunday because he was determined to enjoy his thing. But did he skip the ice bath? No, he did not. Now, I don't know what on God's earth would ever persuade me to get into an ice bath. Can you imagine anything worse? But it is part of what all athletes do all the time. I don't understand what the point of it is. It's all to do with recovery, because of course Wimbledon isn't the end of it. He's got to go on and do every other tournament in the annual thing. Do you know what I mean? I just think that the team, they've got teams around them, and coaches, my sort of coaches and sports coaches play a big role in that. But it's when you look at Lewis Hamilton and Andy Murray and Heather Watson. Heather had a partner out there, but they were individual champions. You're out there alone. You've done all this hard work and dedication in a team, but you have to be at the very top of whatever it is you do. You have to be in peak performance and your whole life is about that. And the dedication that takes, I'm in awe of it.
It must be a particular brain set, mustn't it? It must be the way they're wired. Their brains must be wired a certain way.
I think it's funny because the point that came up out yesterday on that post we both commented on in High Performing Women was about performance. And life isn't about performance for me, but it is for these people. And not only that, they do it in the full glare of the spotlight with everybody watching and criticising and not liking you because you don't smile enough, and not liking you because you dumped your girlfriend badly, and all this kind of nonsense that they have to put up with as well. I don't know how they do it, Nicola.
And also, they're living with the knowledge that they're not going to be champions forever, are they? That their performance at some point.
Well, and we saw that last week, and that in other people who've been at the top of the game for ages waning. It's sad, yes. So you've got to make the best of it in that peak window, haven't you? Mm. But I'm just when I see it in areas where I'm interested, even in areas where we're just coming up to the Olympics, not really interested in the Olympics. I was 4 years ago because it was in London, and I'm sure I will watch it when the Britons do well. But it's the same thing again. The work these people put in. Can you imagine putting in, 5 a.m. starts and ice baths and other torturous things for 4 years or even 16 years? Some of these people have been to the Olympics 4 times.
I know. It must be that they're wired that way, in the same way that I'm completely committed and wired to trying out new software. It must just be the way.
Well, you said earlier on, and I would have taken issue with you over the word, actually. You said we've got a great product and we have a duty to do something with it. And actually I thought, no, we don't. We have a responsibility. We don't have a duty. These people perhaps have a duty to their talent. If you realise you've got, I'm going to use the expression God-given, but make that as broad as you like, everybody. You're born with a talent. Do you have a duty to make absolutely the best of it? Probably.
Oh, I don't know if I agree. Because what if it doesn't make you happy? What if pursuing?
Well, there are lots of people. There are lots of people who it doesn't make happy, and they go. For instance, I was a very talented amateur at music. I didn't put in any work, and if I put in any work, I probably could have been awesome at it. But I put in just enough to thoroughly enjoy it. I got to grade 6 piano without ever really practicing. Now, did I have a God-given talent? No, I didn't. So did I want to put in the hard work to go 7 and 8? No, I didn't. But I think that if I had the genius spark in any area of my life, I probably would have given it the best shot. Now, you do see people, very well balanced people, who actually say, yes, I was good at tennis or whatever it was, but I don't want it to be my whole life. So I've loved doing that. There were good examples in last week. I've loved doing it, but I'm moving on now to something else.
Yeah. I'm thinking of my sister particularly, who has had a long and illustrious career singing, but
indeed
has never had the will or the self-esteem to think she could be a soloist.
Or maybe the team. These people I'm talking about have, a dozen physios, coaches working on their mental stuff, their physical stuff. Maybe she didn't have the team. And our sports people, not just ours, but other nations now, they have financial support, for instance, that Heather didn't have.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes a difference. If you're going to be excellent, you've got to have money and people behind you.
Yeah, it's very true. That little girl, I don't know if you saw the thing about the little girl who was interviewed on Radio 4, who is composing. She's about 9, and she's composing, and they're comparing her to Mozart. She's an absolute genius at music. And she says, when she's swinging on the swings or playing with her skipping rope, music pops into her head, and so the difficult bit is getting it out of her head into a piece that people can play. And you could tell from the way she was talking about it, she absolutely loves it. And there is no way that little girl is not going to pursue that passion and that gift, that gift that she's got, because she hasn't got to the point where it's an adult. She's an adult, and it's not enjoyable anymore. She's still
I definitely think it's a combination of those two words you've just said, passion and gift. Definitely. I mean, it'd be ghastly if you had a gift that you had no passion for, and vice versa.
I think there are probably lots of people in the world who've got gifts that they've got no passion for, and they're working on them daily.
Yes, absolutely. So tell me who or what's impressed you.
Bean Ninjas. It's a bunch of accountants in Australia. I found out that my bookkeeper has not done my books in Xero. I know this is totally my fault because I should have been on top of this. He never produced management accounts, so I was just Okay, I've got a cash flow forecast that keeps me on top of my money, but I know that because of VAT and end of year accounting and all that stuff, I have to have a proper bookkeeping system. So I started using Zero, and Patricia generates invoices, and I thought he was doing the books monthly, but it turns out he hasn't done them since November. So I've got to come up to date.
Sorry, could I just ask, did he have a good excuse?
He found it very difficult working with two different currencies, and he's not been well.
And he didn't flag that?
And no, he didn't, and it's my fault because of the whole Steve thing. I've just not been on top of it at all. So I'm not blaming him. I'm taking responsibility. I should have been on top of it. So I was a bit.
Just tell you, that is why I was able to clean up as an accountant, because I got so much business from people where their accountants had just I didn't really feel like it. Oh, it's pathetic. Sorry.
Yeah. I know it is. But Bean Ninjas, they're in Australia, and they have a productized service, and they only work with Zero. They work with Stripe and PayPal all day long. They only work with internet marketers. They know all about currency exchanges. They're on top of it like a rash. And they said to me, it's $169 a month to do your books and produce a management account and a balance sheet for you. And it's she said, I said, do you need me to do the catch-up? Do you need me to learn how to do the reconciling and catch-up from November? She said, no, we'll quote you for that. And it was Ben, actually, it was him. And he said he came up with some amazing figure that just totally threw out of my mind that I would do it myself. And he gave me a 50% discount to catch up. And it was an effortless, enjoyable experience. And I'm totally confident that they will be proactive rather than reactive.
And they've got a nice niche and a fantastic name.
Absolutely. Bean Ninjas is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Bean Ninjas. They're in the UK now, they're in Australia, and they're in America, and their business is growing, and I can see why, because it was a pleasure.
Yes, so can I.
He had a nice little script of all the things he had to ask me. So even though I was jumping about and telling him all sorts of things in different orders, he didn't miss anything. He was great. And the other thing that's impressed me this week is a bit of software called Open Broadcast System, which is free. There is a paid one, about $500. This is what we were talking about, time and money earlier, wasn't it? But this one's free, and it enables you to beam Facebook Live from your desktop or laptop. You don't have to do it from your mobile phone. And if you've been watching Frank Kern on Facebook Live, you'll know that he's actually using the paid version of this system. But you can download it for free. There's a handy little cheat sheet that you can use. It's quite easy to use. I did it yesterday, and it worked fine. So you can.
And what did you say? It's called Open Broadcast System.
OBS, Open Broadcast System. Yeah, I'm not sure it's obs.com or openbroadcastsystem.com.
I'll find it. Don't worry.
Yeah, and you can beam from your desktop or laptop, so you don't have to be holding your mobile phone and letting it waggle about, which is a bit annoying for everyone watching. So there you go. That's my recommendations of what's impressed me this week.
Yeah,
so,
very good.
Are we going to tell them about our plans for August?
Yes, would you like to?
Yes.
Or shall I?
Yeah, you do. You do it.
Yes, I managed to negotiate after a protracted email correspondence with Nicola that I could have 5 weeks off from the podcast in August. We record on the Wednesday, and there are 5 Wednesdays. And between us, we came up with the idea that we would get 5 separate people to stand in for me. And it wasn't my idea that. They do it on BBC Radio 4's Today programme. They have stand-in editors. In fact, James Corden was one of them once, I remember, and they have stand-in editors on various, you can edit the Evening Standard for a week or a day or something, I don't know, various magazines do it. And we're going to have Jacqueline Rogers, who was one of our speakers on the summit. The next one is Irene, who's one of our longest listening, most dedicated listeners to the podcast and given us a lot of support, financial and other ways. Our third one is Sarah Newton, who's the teenage coach and used to be a policewoman, fantastic. Marion, my friend and yours, has agreed to do the 4th one. And the 5th one is Sue Revel, who I met recently and is another business coach. Now, 2 out of those 5 women said, Irene was one of them and Sue was the next one. Wow, what a coincidence. I was just thinking about podcasting. I was just thinking about you and podcasting, Irene said, and here's a podcast I listened to and I thought Judith would like that, and this is just the opportunity I'm looking for. Sue said exactly the same thing. All my friends are saying I should do podcasting. I've just opened a tab on my website to listen to podcasts, and yours is the first I put on there. So 2 out of the 5 people, well, all 5 of them grabbed at it in order. They went, oh yes, third 10th, 17th, 24th. I had the 31st left, which I struggled. We tried for Rachel Turner, your original business coach, and she couldn't do that week. But it's going to be fun. You're going to have 5 interesting alternative business coach women to talk to instead of me for the 5 Wednesdays in August.
And I will be very glad to see you back, but we're going to keep the same format. That's the thing.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, and they're all going to bring you your challenge of the week from their businesses.
Yes, well, that'll be good, won't it? So, and they all work with clients in the same way that we do. So it'll be great. And I'm thrilled because it'll keep the momentum going. And that, I totally recognise your need for a rest. I totally do. But
this today is number 88, and by the time I go away, we'll have done 90. And I think, in 2017, I think we want to work out we'll either be available, we'll either do it for 46 or 48 weeks, or we'll find stand-ins whenever I need a week off. It'll be nice. It'll be nice. It'll refresh the thing a lot, and it'll bring in new energy and new ideas. And then I'll look forward to coming back in September and taking it up again.
Yeah, and then I might want a couple of weeks off, and you can have guests as well. It'd be brilliant.
Well, I'm not sure I can do it because you need the tech. We need the tech. So when you're away, we're away.
No, come on! You've learned how to set up GoToWebinar appointments. You can certainly learn how to press a button and start.
I can certainly record it, but I can't edit it. I mean, and in fact, I've got to do the show notes even in the 5 Wednesdays because I wouldn't want to put that on you or on the guests.
Yes, I was very grateful that you offered to do that.
Yeah.
You know how good I'd be at it.
Well, quite.
Awesome.
And the same works in reverse, you see, which is I can happily record the interview, but and would like to that would be fun, but I'm not sure. Yeah. It's about not having to show up on a specific day at a specific time for a week or so, isn't it? I think it's just about clearing my diary. I mean, I'm going to do the show notes from this now, and obviously I've been here live, so it's an hour to be here live and then half an hour to do the show notes. So it'll be an hour and a half for each of those 5 weeks when I'm away, but that's fine. It's just having a complete break, really, of everything. I mean, I don't do one-to-ones, and I'm going to France, and the whole of France has the whole of August off, and I just want to chill, really. You just want to chill in and be French. Yeah, good. I do practice my French. How many more weeks have we got of you before you go then? Well, this was recorded on the 13th of July. It'll go out on the 22nd of July. Reaching for cheat sheets. We've got quite a lot, actually. We've got next week is episode 89, recorded on the 20th, goes out on the 29th. And then there's 90, goes out, recorded on the 27th, go out on the 5th of August. So I'm with you until episode 90. This is episode 88. I'm going to do 89 and 90 with you. It's only the 5 recording Wednesdays I'm not with you in August. Okay, cool. All right, well, I'm sure our listeners will look forward to hearing other people's takes on the things. And well, I tell you what we've done really well with it. We've got Irene, who's a listener. Yeah. We've got Jacqueline, who was on the summit. We've got Marion, who's got a new life that you need to catch up with. Yep. We've got Sue, who you haven't met. So the 5th one's going to be the test, actually, because you don't know the person. You know all the other four women, and you're going to be able to talk to them really easily, but you don't know Sue. So that's quite good fun. She's never done a podcast before, so the 5th one will be interesting. But you've got interesting women in there who you know in the main. So, and you can chat to anyone, so you'll be fine. I can. I'm a chat. I was trying to think of a nice word, and I couldn't think of one, so I'm going to leave that. Right, and actually we are following the same format, and I think that's quite important, to be honest, because we're asking them to fit into our conversation. So I don't want you to slip into interviewing them if you don't mind. Obviously, I want to get information out of them, but we want to stick to the same format, I think. Yeah, I'll do my very best, madam. All right. Okay. Good stuff. See you next week. Yeah. Okay. Bye. It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way. You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.